It's time for Florida State football. This is the Jimbo Fisher Show, presented by First Commerce Credit Union. The Jimbo Fisher Show is brought to you by First Commerce Credit Union. Now that's local strong. The Florida Lottery, over $28 billion and counting to education. Just imagine. The Florida Department of Transportation. Drive sober or get pulled over. The energy-saving conservation programs of Tico Peoples Gas. Coke Zero. You don't know zero till you've tried it. SunTrust, the official bank of Florida State Athletics. Ram Trucks. More people are driving Ram trucks than ever before. Guts, glory, Ram. Nick's Toggery, provider of Coach Fisher's wardrobe.
Hello, happy holidays. Welcome to a special edition of the Jimbo Fisher Show. Tom Block and former Florida State star William Bar None Floyd. Jimbo busy getting set for the Peach Bowl and on the road recruiting. So we've got William here to talk about another terrific season for FSU. 10-2, and this was a fun one to watch this young team grow up as the season progressed.
It was. You cannot beat what this team did this year. I mean, looking at what they did last year, kind of a season where you're thinking we want to win another national championship back-to-back, win 29 games straight. They come in this year kind of nobody knows what to expect. No quarterback. We don't have a Heisman Trophy winner. Just a lot of new faces out there. Then to go 10-2, you have to be excited about what this team did this year.
10-2. That includes victories over rival Miami and rival Florida. We'll look back at those a little bit later in the program. But it sets up a New Year's Six bowl appearance too in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl against the University of Houston. And now that we're in this college football playoff era, the New Year's Six, making it to that level is going to become sort of a stature, a key thing as we go forward. So it's nice to see him in this bowl game.
It is. And again, we go to Chick-fil-A. What a great bowl. They always put on a great bowl for us. It's close. A lot of our fans can make it. We've been out on the West Coast the last couple of years. Not real easy for our fans to make it out to the game. So we're going to be very close. We need all of you there.
There you go. We'll talk more about the Houston Cougars, who had a terrific season in their own right, 12-1 conference champs, a dual-threat quarterback that we'll address a little bit later on. But before we do all that, immediately when we come back, we'll look back at some terrific highlights from this 2015 season for Florida State. Stay with us. We're just getting started here on the Jimbo Fisher Show. Welcome back. As we look back at this 2015 season, Tom Block and William Floyd with you. And bar none, it's always amazing how quickly the season goes. But we turn back the clock just a few months. The anticipation of seeing this team roll out the new look Noles. We knew they were going to be young, but we didn't know what that would look like as they welcomed Texas State to town.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun to watch that game. When you look at this team starting out at the beginning of the season, you were thinking the defense, man, they're going to be a little shaky, but they end up being the best thing we had this year. I mean, the offense took care of business, but I was really impressed with the defense.
So here is the opener against Texas State. Not surprising that number 4 was in the highlights from the get-go.
I mean, this young man is a phenomenal football player. You just have to look at what he does. He's an amazing player.
You think back to the beginning of the year, though, in the first game in particular, really the questions were, how was Everett Golson going to fit in as the quarterback? He was the starting quarterback for the first half of the season. This was our first true look at him.
It was, and you looked in this game, he had some great passes. The ball looked good coming out of his hand, and his mobility, that was the main thing that everybody wanted to see him back there, his mobility and his ability to open up and extend plays.
Well, he went 19 for 25 for 302 yards and 4 touchdowns in his FSU debut. Here, a coverage bust, he finds Pig Harrison. So certainly a great start for Florida State in this opener. And Sean McGuire would get in as well as FSU rolls to victory.
Yeah, you look at Sean McGuire, gets the ball out again to Jonathan Vickers, a flare route out of the backfield, touchdown. Excellent game to start out the season for Florida State.
59-16. They stay at home the next week, and Florida State has fared well against Sunshine State foes. A little bit of a slow start against USF, but if you want to crank up that offensive engine, just hand it to number 4.
Man, just hand it to this young man. You look at what he does, vision, acceleration, then breaking tackles with the power, then the speed, and then most importantly, the finish. That's in football what you have to have is the finish for the touchdown.
And this is just game number 2, but in watching the Dalvin Cook highlight show, I mean, I think this is when we first realized, you know what? WD's season rushing record is probably going to be in jeopardy this year.
Yeah, this is when you knew that this young man was going to have a special season. The way he was breaking tackles, just pulling through everything, his power, his speed, his agility, he was just exciting to look at from the first start of the beginning of the season.
Well over 200 yards rushing in this game for Dalvin Cook as FSU handles USF. 266 yards, in fact, and 3 touchdowns in that 34-14 win for Dalvin Cook. And it was a 2-0 start for Florida State as this young team went on the road for the first time to BC and opened up ACC play.
Yeah, and that was just, anytime you go to Boston College, you're going to have a tough game. The fans, the stadium, it's just always a little bit eerie for us up there. So we came out, we got that first touchdown with Rudolph, but the rest of the game was a little bit tough for us.
Well, and BC struggled offensively all year. It was a 7-0 game until FSU gets this defensive score, and that really removed the anxiety from that night as Jalen Ramsey put the Noles up 14-0.
Yeah, because that Boston College's offense really wasn't going to put up the points like that. And that was a great play, penetration by Walker, great tackle by Smith to cause the fumble, and then Jalen Ramsey takes it back to the house.
After a bye week, Florida State opens October on the road at Wake Forest. You can see it was a windy day. There was horrific rain in the forecast. It never really did rain. It was windy, but guess what? Dalvin Cook can still run.
Man, I tell you what, you look at this young man, that play right there, he breaks 2 tackles. Nobody talks about his power, and I think that's one of the best assets that he has in his football arsenal is his power. His speed is there, but the power to be able to break tackles and pull through, that's something that's very special.
Went 94 yards, but the downside, and this would become a theme for the 2015 season, it happened right there where he tweaked that hamstring and then dealt with that for the better part of the remainder of the season.
Yeah, and you look at that. That wasn't even a run where he was making a big cut or a strong cut. It's just something that happened, a fluke incident, and it happens like that in football, and something that nagged him for the rest of the year.
Florida State, though, even without Cook, got that touchdown from Vickers. And Kermit Whitfield started to develop about this point in the season. That was actually his first career receiving touchdown. Came down to the wire in Florida State with Wake driving for a tying touchdown. They would have needed the 2-point try. Tyler Hunter saves the day there, and Jimbo and the Noles remain unbeaten. That sets up your good friends from Miami.
Yeah, the Miami game, this is always a big game. To come out, you look here, Everett Golson waiting to the last possible second to hold on to draw those defenders in, and then look at Dalvin Cook tear up turf. This young man has amazing speed, and once he gets out there, you're not going to come get him.
Well, remember, this is just a week after tweaking that hamstring, too, and immediately he has to open it up on the first play. But Florida State, that got the crowd into it. Here's Cook on a screen pass. He's just so explosive.
He is. I mean, anytime he touches the football, and I've been saying this ever since I saw him the first game, he has an opportunity to take the ball to the house. And when you have a player like that, you have to make sure you put the ball in his hands.
Miami, though, to their credit, a great quarterback in Brad Kaya. Here he finds Stacy Coley, and the Canes took the lead late in this game, and so we got a first chance at seeing how Florida State would respond playing from behind.
And you know what? I love it. I look at this right here. This is how you do it. When you have to come back, you go ahead and you do it on the ground. You saw that dust coming off the ground, that gravel, that Dalvin Cook is out there just tearing up turf, able to take it in, to push us past Miami for the win.
222 yards rushing on that bad hamstring against his rivals from South Florida that night. Gorgeous day as Louisville comes to town the next week, and this is sort of a potential letdown game, although there's no letdown in Jalen Ramsey's game.
I love Jalen Ramsey. He welcomes the head coach of Louisville to the game right there. Bobby Petrino, get off the ground. But then the next play, look at Dalvin Cook just breaking and pulling through tackles. And like you said, that was the theme for the entire season with this young man, just finding a way to keep those legs churning to make big plays and eventually get into the end zone for a touchdown.
Kermit Whitfield again turns upfield, and there's nobody there. Look at Ryan Izzo in the background waving goodbye to the touchdown.
You have to love that. And one thing you love about Kermit Whitfield, when he catches the ball, you have to think about his jacks, his yards after the catch. That's where he makes his biggest plays.
Cook into the end zone again. What a season for Dalvin as he goes for 1,658 yards rushing with a bowl game to go.
Wonderful play. And look at this throw right here by Golson. Puts that ball right over 2 defenders. The only place he can put that ball for the reception, and Rudolph is there for the touchdown.
So 41-21, Florida State gets a win. And, the Noles at this point, halfway through the season, looking pretty good. They've passed some tests, and you're feeling pretty good about where Florida State is. We'll look at the second half of the season in just a little bit. Defining plays for the first half of the season. You and I differed on this, though. I went back to the Miami game and the option run early in the game. Fans had wanted to know, when's Florida State going to run the option with Everett Golson? Well, the first time they run it this season, he holds it to the last possible second, and Cook takes it to the house.
And look at that acceleration, just that speed to get away from the defense right there. You have to love this young man. I mean, as a running back, I love watching him play football because he just plays the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Well, and he's got that fragile hamstring, if you will, but nobody within 10 yards, so he lets off the accelerator there. And it was going to be an electric night anyway against Miami, but that just got the crowd amped up early on. You chose a different play, though, and it's interesting because it was a less high-profile game against USF.
Right.
But right away from this single play by Dalvin Cook, you knew we were seeing something special.
Oh, yeah. When I said that this is the play that I said we have the most explosive player in college football. Look at it right there. The vision, the acceleration. Then watch this right here. The power. He's going to split those tackles, break tackles, and continue to pull away from the defense. You can't teach that, Tom. That right there is God-given ability. That's why that young man was talked about for the Heisman this year, and that's why he'll probably be, when he come back next year, in the top of the Heisman race.
Yeah, a lot of the guys who were in the running this year were underclassmen and will be back, but, we obviously have a garnet and gold slant towards what we see, but, I mean, that guy, I wouldn't trade him for anybody. No,
not ever. You can keep Henry, you can keep Fournette. Give me Dalvin Cook. I'll take him every day of the week.
There you go. And guess what? We got another half season of highlights to see, and not surprisingly, number 4, Dalvin Cook's involved in quite a few of those as well. Stay with us. We'll continue right after this.
Undefeated Season in Review is presented by Hyundai, proud supporter of college football and loyal fans everywhere.
The snap, and here comes pressure. Winston stands off, throws it upfield. Caught ball. O'Leary makes the catch. Skywalking, climbing the ladder, and got it for a first down at the 46-yard line. Check 47. Play action fake sold by Winston. Dropping Winston. Throws the ball down the sideline. Got wide open. Nick O'Leary at the 15 to the 10. 5. Touchdown, Florida State. There's Jameis Winston finding Nick O'Leary twice in a row. And how in the world does O'Leary get so wide open? Nobody near him outside the numbers around the 15-yard line. Winston found him and threw it to him, and we get a touchdown and a chance to tie. Right, here is the snap, and here comes the pressure. Hunt running to the right side, Dalvin Cook, daylight downfield, outside the number 40, 45 to the 50. Dalvin Cook out of bounds at the Georgia Tech 42-yard line. Here's the snap out of the gun, inside handoff, Dalvin Cook, up the gut he goes, inside the 30, to the 20, he's to the 18-yard line. Shotgun formation, inside handoff, Dalvin Cook, touchdown FSU. Up and down the field we go. Noles are a point away from tying the game. The 41, shotgun formation, dropping Winston, firing underneath. Winston makes the catch. It is caught by Rashad Green to the 50. Got a block to the left side, keeps his balance. He runs out of bounds at the Georgia Tech 42. Here is the snap. Pressure coming from the outside. Winston looks downfield, throws it downfield. Got a wide open receiver at the 10. Caught, touchdown FSU. Rashad Green. And Winston buys time and sees his favorite target during his career in Green. Makes the touchdown, a gain of 44 on third down, 11. Here's the snap, blitz coming. Winston sees it, dumps it off, and as a caught ball by Travis Rudolph. He's got a Seminole first down to the 35-yard line. The snap. Winston looking left, goes to the left side. Got Rashad Green, cut, touchdown Florida State. Rashad Green on the Noles lead for the first time of the game. Rashad Green's got 2. He's 1 away from tying Peter Warwick on this chilly Saturday night in Charlotte, North Carolina. Good snap, good spot. Here's the kick, and it's plenty long enough, and it is good. And Florida State retakes the lead, 31-28. Roberto Aguayo is a huge weapon. Here's the snap. Winston swing back. Ball on the right side. A stiff arm. It is Rashad Green. Made a guy miss to the 40-yard line. Down the far sideline to the 47-yard line. Here's a good snap to spot. Here's the kick by Aguayo. He's got the leg, and it's just inside the right upright. It's good. And Florida State leads by a half dozen now, 34-28. The snap out of the gun. Inside handoff. Dalvin Cook, daylight. Cook to the 35. Cook to the 30. Stiff arm. He's to the 20. Falls down to the 19-yard line. Dalvin Cook. They haven't stopped him yet, have they? The snap, a good one. The spot, the kick is airborne, and Aguayo puts it right down the middle. And the Noles are up by 9 with 4:28 to go. In motion goes the day back. Rolling right is Thomas. Puts the ball downfield. Throws it too far. It's intercepted. Picked off at the 47. Florida State's LaMarcus Brutus has it. Brutus has the pick at the 45. Here's the onside kick. Falling on it, the Seminoles. We've come up with it to the 45-yard line. The onside kick was a one-bouncer, and a Seminole falls on it. Get 8-9 in the box. The snap. Handoff. Dalvin Cook running. Cook. He's got a first down inside the 35 to the 31. That is going to do it. Noles can take 2 knees, and we've got a victory number 29 in a row. There it is. Kneeling down. That is going to be the ball game. Celebrate! Celebrate Seminoles. Dance to the war chant again. Florida State 37, Georgia Tech 35, a classic in the 10th annual Dr. Pepper ACC Championship game.
Undefeated Season in Review is presented by Hyundai, proud supporter of college football and loyal fans everywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. Florida State sitting 6-0 in mid-October as we get set for the second half of the season, and a game at Georgia Tech. And really, when the schedule came out, this is one that was sort of circled as a potential stumbling block for FSU. The Noles had to survive Georgia Tech for an ACC Championship the year prior. This time we're going to Atlanta. Georgia Tech's season didn't unfold the way we thought it might, but it was a dogfight.
It was, and you know Georgia Tech is always going to play us tough, and especially when we're up there, you have to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, no missed assignments, no turnovers, and no penalties, and we didn't do a good job of all of that.
First half, Florida State got the lead early on. We saw a great interception by the freshman Josh Sweat. Here's LaMarcus Brutus, who sets up a Dalvin Cook touchdown. He was out at the 2, and so the Noles had the lead, but there were some missed opportunities in the red zone, and you just let a home team hang around, and it came back to bite FSU at the end.
Yeah, you know, this play right here was a huge play in the game, and I think it changed the momentum. Rudolph had that ball in his hands, wasn't able to squeeze it, and they get the interception, 16-16, until this play right here, the last play of the game.
Yeah, 50-plus yard field goal attempt for Aguayo. It's blocked, and then look at Georgia Tech setting it up. If they score, they win, and we all unfortunately know how this thing turns out, 22-16. First setback for this team, and so again, a young squad looking for leaders. We had to see how they would respond. Turned out against Syracuse, they responded pretty well with Sean McGuire in, because remember that Golson was out injured.
Yeah, look at this catch right here by Rudolph. Just a monster catch. He will not be denied on this. Get off me. I want this touchdown. Watch out. Touchdown. You have to love that effort from a young man.
Well, and he wasn't through yet. It really was the Rudolph show all game long.
And right here, again, just another deep bomb. Rudolph beats the defenders, gets behind 2 defenders. McGuire lays the ball. The only place he can is right there into the receiver's hands for the touchdown.
And why not the hat trick? 3 touchdown catches in this game. He had 52 catches on the year, second leading receiver for FSU, and 6 touchdown catches overall. FSU, without Dalvin Cook here, goes with the big back instead, and Jarquez Patrick, who certainly showed great promise. And, you know, Dalvin just resting that hammy and an ankle also that he tweaked against Georgia Tech. So at this point, the season taking its toll on Florida State as we go to Clemson. But lo and behold, guess who's back?
Again, just straight up the middle, breaks 1 tackle, stiff arm, and just look at that speed. Not going to be caught, kind of turns off the speed a little bit and gets caught. Horse call a play right there. That was a penalty, but an excellent run to start off the game by Dalvin Cook and the Noles.
FSU took the crowd out of it early, but here's a throw that Sean would love to have back, a forced throw. Should have just thrown it away and taken the field goal.
Yeah, right there, just a missed assignment right there by the quarterback. Didn't get that ball where he was supposed to, and it turned out to hurt us a little bit. And then right here, you know, I think Rams, if he gets up there and attacks that play a little bit more, we're able to stop it. But Clemson just had a good game plan for us. They played all the way to the end. And take your hats off to the defense, too. They held that team to 16 points all the way to deep into the fourth quarter. Yeah, really good effort there, and Clemson celebrates a victory over Florida State for the first time in 4 years. Good luck to the Tigers in the playoffs. NC State comes to town. Bobby Bowden was back, and tell you what, the Wolfpack were giving Florida State some fits early on. Cook gets the touchdown, but really the story was that Golson struggled mightily in this game. Yeah, he did. He came in, I think he had a fumble, a couple of picks in this game, a lot of turnovers, and then the next thing you see is Jimbo Fisher going in and putting that young man Sean McGuire in the game, handing the ball off to Dalvin Cook, who just breaks tackle on top of tackle on top of tackle and speeds himself into the end zone. It's amazing watching his season highlights. Every one of them is he's pinballing off of players and going to the end zone. Kermit Whitfield, number 8, became more and more dependable as a big play receiver as the year went on, especially for a little guy. He was, and that play right there is huge because it helped give us some separation against North Carolina State. We're 17-17 going into the half, and then Kermit comes out, has that last touchdown, this big touchdown to give us some separation away from North Carolina State. So Florida State wins 34-17. Kermit, by the way, the leading receiver for FSU right now with 53 catches heading into the bowl game. And we're starting to see a young team find its identity. We're seeing more leaders emerge. This guy was a leader among the fans in terms of how much time he got on the big board at Doak this year. Forget the dancing queen. That's the dancing king. He was getting it on all year long.
Story here, the black unis as Chattanooga rolled into town. Great look, and guess what, Dalvin, it doesn't matter what uniform you put on, he can still play ball.
He doesn't. I mean, you just look at his most of his runs are set up by his vision. He just sees that hole, and he's able to hit it. And then you look at Whitfield again. I think the most important part of his game is his ability to catch and make yards after the catch. So his yak has to be amazing this year. There it is again, a catch and touchdown. Really, for a wide receiver, you just have to love that. Anytime you can catch the ball and then take that thing in for a touchdown, usually wide receivers are always setting up touchdowns for everybody else. It's nice when they get in the end zone to get one themselves. 1-2
punch there with thunder and lightning, if you will, as Thunder gets into the end zone and Florida State rolls past Chattanooga. Sets up the rival in many people's minds. This game was going to determine, was it a good season or was it, we underachieved a little bit. It was the difference between 10-2, 9-3, but FSU played lights out here.
Yeah, they did. The defense was amazing in this. Look at it. It's the DeMarcus Walker show coming off the end. He had 2.5 sacks this game. I love seeing 44 out there ball. It kind of reminds me of myself, old 44, looking at myself play, but great play.
And here you have McGuire on a 4th down. Florida State rolls the dice, throws across his body. First career catch is a touchdown here for FSU's tight end.
That was an amazing play right there. And I think McGuire, he probably could have got into the end zone, but he just wanted to give us a little bit to think about. And here right now, you got McGuire.
Aguayo just bank shot with the field goal there. We'll take it. And so Florida State had a halftime lead, and then it took to the 4th quarter before Dalvin and FSU's offense really wore down Florida.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, I like Jimbo just continuing to give the ball to the young man, let him run, utilize his legs to run time off the clock. And all they were, Florida got a little upset about this play, but they were just in 4-minute offense, just trying to run time off the clock. And hey, if you guys can't stop them, that's not our fault.
Hey, what time is it, William? Is it 1:33 or is it 27-2? Either way, that was the final score in that game as FSU goes to 10-2 on the season. The second half of the season, in terms of defining plays, a couple of ways we went a couple different directions here, but interestingly, we both chose something from the Florida game, which was the biggest win for FSU in the second half of the season. I thought that 4th down play, FSU had short yardage issues all year long. Here it was, they got stuffed on 3rd and goal, so 4th and goal. They roll McGuire out. I thought he could have dove for the sticks, but instead he gets away with throwing across his body there. And how about Jeremy Kerr, his first career catch, and it's 6 in the swamp.
And to catch it like that, I mean, just the play action, you're looking at it, and McGuire, he's looking for it, trying to wait, get open, and throws it back all the way across the field to the open. Well, actually, he wasn't even open. He just put that ball in the window in the right place, and the tight end was able to make a great catch.
Well, and we'll see, how the rest of Sean McGuire's career plays out, but he's sort of got a defining play now, and who knows what that'll do for his confidence with a win in Gainesville. You chose another play, and the defense was stellar this night, and it was DeMarcus Walker with a field goal block that was key. It preserved a shutout at the time.
Yeah, I like this because when you look at this game, you think about the defense and holding Florida to no points defensively, you have to take your hats off to that. And this right here, these young men, look at Derwin James running down the field. Nothing excites a defense more than keeping the other offense off the field. Yeah, Florida got 2 points, but the defense didn't give it up. Amazing play. Look at them get the big paw up there, block that punt.
Block that field goal, yeah, and they end up keeping them out of the end zone there until the safety late, as you mentioned. But 27-2, DeMarcus Walker emerged as a terrific player for Florida State. We'll talk more about some of the individual stars for this FSU team in just a moment coming up. But 10-2 overall, we'll take it. We're headed to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and we're headed back your way right after this to talk more about the 2015 Seminoles.
My name's Jeremy Kerr. I'm a redshirt sophomore. I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida, and I play tight end here at Florida State. The first football game I played, I was actually a junior in high school. I didn't start playing football until I was older, and I really fell in love with the game. Growing up, I always played baseball, and I love baseball, but once I played that first game of football, I knew that's where my heart was, and decided to make the transition and put all my efforts towards football. I mean, it was a tough choice just because my whole life I played baseball, and I remember telling my dad when I decided I was going to quit baseball and focus on football, he thought I was crazy just because I was always known for the baseball player, but he backed me, he supported me, and I just took it head on and worked my tail off, and it ended up working out. Both my parents, but definitely my father. My father, he's a very hard worker, and he really instilled a lot of my work habit, a lot of the things I still do today. and he was just a great role model to me. He was really tough on me growing up, and sometimes I didn't appreciate that, but now looking back, I really appreciate it. And also my older brother, he was the same as my dad, if not harder on me, and he expected a lot from me. Him and I used to go at it growing up, and he was always coming out on the victorious side when I was younger, but that definitely made me kind of tougher as a person, and it always pushed me to work harder and harder so I could beat him one day, and I still stay really close with him and talk to him whenever I get a chance. Growing up in St. Pete, I lived on the water, and I loved to fish, and loved anything outdoors, loved to hunt, loved to fish. Just being outside, I can't stand being inside. I'm not a big video game guy, but I mean, really just fishing and hunting is my true passion, I guess, other than football. It was crazy. I mean, I've always respected this university. I've been coming up here. I actually have some family that lives up in Tallahassee, so when I was younger, we came up to Tallahassee a couple times a year to hunt and stuff like that. So I loved Tallahassee, and I always loved the university and respected the university. So it was awesome. I was very fortunate and blessed. It was tough. You know, Florida State's a great school, great university, and classes are very demanding. It was a lot different than high school. There's such a support staff here with all the academics, tutors and advisors, and even your coaches and the older guys. They would kind of point you in the right direction. So I mean, it was tough, but having them to lean on, it made it a lot easier. Had to be the national championship. I get speechless just thinking about it. I can't, the hairs on the back of my neck are sticking up just thinking about it. I mean, that was great. Very blessed and fortunate to be a part of that, and I'll definitely remember that for the rest of my life.
Right there, baby, let's do it. Let's go. Game time. It's on all day, every day. It's our state, baby.
Understand something, you're the better fighter. You're the better fighter. But you have to fight better. Have a better fight. Make sure you play well. It ain't about being the best, it's about playing the best. Love is the reason for the fight, man. Love is the reason for the fight. What we do is the family.
look ahead is presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. Win a VIP experience at NolesContest.com.
Welcome back. Tom Block and William Floyd. The Noles getting set for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We'll talk more about Houston next segment. But individual stars that emerged offensively and defensively, I know this seems repetitive. Florida State fans aren't going to be tired of talking about it, though. But Dalvin Cook, when you look at the season highlights as we just did, I mean, he had as memorable a season in terms of highlights as anything I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, just think about all the runs over 20-plus yards that he had. You saw some runs out there that were over 60, 50-yard runs. He's just an amazing football player. You have to love what you see in this young man.
It's the combination of power, vision, speed. He's got all of it.
Yeah, he does. And anytime he takes what's important about it is every time he touches the ball, he has a chance to take it to the house. And you just don't have that out of a lot of football players. Anytime they touch it, they can always take it to the house.
Well, and just ask Wake Forest. I mean, he gets one carry against them, and here it is.
And the thing about it is you look at him, you think, okay, he's a 205-pound running back, but look at the way he pulls through tackles like he's 240 pounds. He's just a powerful, powerful runner. And then you combine that with speed, you just have a special football player.
Now, another guy who emerged this year, and it took a little while, but it was Sean McGuire, because at the start of the season, it was Everett Golson, and Jimbo later said, well, Golson was the better quarterback at the start of the year, but for whatever reason, maybe it was being snubbed at the start, McGuire began to develop, and it was fun to watch him evolve, both on the field and in terms of his leadership, too.
I think that you hit it on the head. His leadership is what got this team to follow behind him. He came in with a lot of these guys in their recruiting class. Here, his first start against Syracuse, just drops back, slings the ball out there to Rudolph, and then again, Rudolph would not be denied on this play. Just a wonderful play, a dead leg right there, stiff arms a player, get off me, I want this touchdown, and gets into the end zone.
Well, and that really springboarded Florida State against Syracuse. But just, I could see a little bit more confidence out of McGuire each and every game. He just got more comfortable, and you could see his teammates responded to him,
Well,
too.
I think that's the key with it. When your teammates start to follow behind you and you start winning your teammates over, then things are going to really, really excel for you.
Now, Kermit Whitfield became a Seminole fan favorite because he returned a kick for a touchdown in the national championship game a couple of years ago. Has not emerged as a receiver until the second half of this season, and all of a sudden, despite his diminutive size, Jim will tell you he's learning how to use his speed without the football, because we know once he gets it, he can definitely turn it on.
Absolutely. The thing I love about Kermit Whitfield is his ability to pick up yards after the catch. He'll take a short catch and turn that thing into a 50-yard touchdown, just like this play right here. Here's a 14-yard catch that ends up turning into a 70-yard touchdown. You're not going to catch Kermit Whitfield once he gets behind you.
No question about that. 53 catches for him this year, and again, it really the last two-thirds of the season is where we saw much more Kermit than we did early on. Here's another example, big play against Florida.
That was a big play that set up that fourth down play that we were talking about with McGuire rolling out in this game right here. But you got to really love Kermit Whitfield again. The way he stepped up at the beginning of the season, everybody was talking more Rudolph, thinking Rudolph was going to be the guy, but Kermit Whitfield really stepped into his own this year.
You're going to notice a pattern. It was a young football team, so all those guys are scheduled to come back for Florida State next year. So is this next guy as we shift to the defensive side of the ball. Matter of fact, he had as big an impact as a freshman defender can have just about when you look at Derwin James. He got better every week. He's another physical freak. Strong, big, hits with power, and can run.
But he just does everything. When you look at Derwin James, you're talking about a young man, a freshman, who came in the spring game and got an interception and took it back to the house. So you knew that he was going to be special. Right here, you see him closing in on the quarterback, dislodges everybody it seems like he touches from the football. He creates fumbles out there, people.
You see the numbers on the season. 7.5 tackles for loss for a guy that's also able to defend. Now, this is, one of the things he has to do is grow up a little bit there. That was a fourth down play where he was playing the sticks, but the future is very, very bright for Derwin.
It's huge for Derwin James. And what I like about that last play that you just saw is that play right there was sticking in his mind for the rest of his career here at Florida State. No different than it was for me when I played against Miami. Got knocked on my tail. Everybody always talks about the wide right, but I feel like I had a part in that too because I missed the block on the goal line as a freshman. Here it is as a freshman. You give up a play like that sticks in the mind for the rest of your career. Throughout your college career, your professional career, you never let a play like that happen to you again. Then that's why I think he continued to excel for the rest of the year, because he took that play to heart and said, you know what, this is never going to happen to me again.
Well, and it's going to be fun to watch his career. I mean, he's already blossoming, and he's got at least 2 more years at FSU. Another guy who it took a couple years for him to really emerge, but DeMarcus Walker this year.
Wow.
15.5 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks. I mean, he became FSU's for a while was defensive end U, and DeMarcus Walker's helping put FSU back on the map there.
I love what this young man does with this game. I mean, he's a powerful football player. And, of course, I'm a little biased because he wears 44 and he represents it very well. But the way he comes off the corner and just puts pressure right here, he's just standing at home, makes a big tackle. This is 4th down against Boston College right here, up there. And get excited about it. Get excited about having fun and doing what you do.
Well, then obviously this was another 4th down play where he gets on Treon Harris in the last game of the season. But he's a good mix, has really responded to Brad Lawing's coaching at that position, and had a terrific junior season.
Well, you talk about Coach Lawing. I think he had, a 6th pick last year from the University of Florida, and Dante Fowler Jr., so he knows something about coaching defensive ends.
No question about it. All right, Florida State up next, University of Houston in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We'll talk about the Cougars right after this.
The Look Ahead is presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. Win a VIP experience at knowlescontest.com.
Talking about the labral tear here in the shoulder with Jake File, the head athletic trainer for football. And Jake, when we're talking about the shoulder, what is going on when we get this sort of injury?
Well, the labrum in the shoulder is a lot like the meniscus in the knee. It's kind of a round-shaped cushion in the bottom of the joint that helps stabilize on a really unstable joint. Oftentimes, this can accompany a dislocation. The shoulder dislocates, it becomes unstable, and when that happens, the labrum can be torn. It's not going to heal back. It's like the meniscus in the knee. It's not going to repair itself. It's got to be repaired by a surgeon.
What are the activities that you see this happening the most?
Well, with football, almost anything you can do. And it's, again, the shoulder's very unstable, and linemen particularly fighting with each other up front can get in a bad position where their shoulder becomes loose, gets stretched out. The ball and socket, if you will, slides, the labrum tears, and also a lot of with throwers, of course.
So what is the recovery for this?
If the labrum's repaired, if it does need repairing, usually that athlete's going to be completely immobilized for about 6 weeks of doing nothing. So a lot of atrophy occurs during that time. A lot of tightness in the joint, range of motion is lost. After that amount of time, we start gentle rehab, regaining the range of motion. Ultimately, when you get to about the 4-month mark, if the strength's looking good, you can get back into some sport-specific activities.
Is this an injury where it kind of seems like a dislocated shoulder? I mean, what's going on? What are the signs that we've torn our labrum?
It doesn't have to be a dislocated shoulder. That's just one good way of doing it. Particularly throwers, they're not going to dislocate their shoulder, but they'll notice over time that they just can't throw as hard. They're having pain with every throw. But generally, it's just there's not as much gas there for a thrower. They start to throw and it's just not as much on it, accompanied with pain.
It seems like there's not really much prevention. Is there anything that you could do to try to prevent this from happening?
There certainly are, especially for throwers, but also all the linemen as well. As long as you're trying to stabilize that joint, again, very unstable joint. So through some prehab, if you will, there's a lot of exercises we teach our guys to try to get them in a good posture and a good strong shoulder to prevent it. There's also certain equipment football players can wear to try to keep the shoulder where it's supposed to be.
That's Jake File. Torn labrums. Talk to you guys next time.
Welcome back. Happy holidays once more. Up next for Florida State, a New Year's Eve showdown in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl with Houston. And, William, if you're not going to be in the college football playoff, Jimbo said this immediately, you want to be in a New Year's Six situation, and FSU is. And on the one hand, it sounds like coach speak. On the other hand, it's a great opportunity to go play in the Peach Bowl, which is a game of significance and will become even more significant in this playoff era.
It is. Let's talk about this. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So that's always a nice bowl. They just throw caution to the wind when they take care of the teams coming to that deal. So as a participant in that deal, you always want to go where they're going to take care of the best of the bowl. Not only that, we're only 3.5 hours, 4 hours away from Atlanta and Tallahassee. I'm 6.5 hours away in Orlando. So all the Noles in the area have to make it to this game. We have to represent, get out there and make sure we're the loudest fans in the country on December 31st.
There you go. And now let's talk about University of Houston. They are the group of 5 representative. They won their conference 12-1 under a coach who was the offensive coordinator for Urban Meyer. I mean, he just came in there, flipped a switch, and this team can play. And they've got a dual-threat quarterback who's electric. I mean, FSU sees a lot of mobile quarterbacks. This guy, Greg Ward Jr., can pass and run.
Yeah, he can. And you're talking about a guy who rushed for 19 touchdowns. You're talking about Dalvin Cook, who rushed for 18 touchdowns. This young man rushed for 19 touchdowns. So he can run the football. He's a dual-threat guy. So with defense, as usual, you're going to have to make sure you contain him, keep him inside the pocket. Don't let him get outside the pocket, and don't let him extend plays.
And then moving even beyond just this opponent and the bowl game experience as a whole, we've talked all year about how young this team is. Well, you get an extra 15 practices, you get an extra bowl game, and you've got Sean McGuire's not definitely the quarterback for next year. I mean, this is a big stage for a team that's still growing, that you hear it, it's a springboard to next year, and in some ways that's true.
It is. What you have this game is a bunch of guys going out there and auditioning for next season. So this is not a game you can just go out there and say, I'm going to take it lightly. I don't want to go out there and perform. No, the coaches are looking at film. They'll be grading it. Trust me, they'll be grading it very hard after the season to see exactly who they can depend on for next season.
The senior class, by the way, if they're able to get this win, that'll be win number 50 in their 4 years at Florida State. Think about that. So the Seminoles take on Houston on New Year's Eve. He's William Floyd. I'm Tom Block. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the season. Happy New Year, and go Noles.
Chop it up, Noles.
This has been the Jimbo Fisher Show, presented by First Commerce Credit Union. Brought to you by First Commerce Credit Union. Now that's local strong. The Florida Lottery, over $28 billion and counting to education. Just imagine. The Florida Department of Transportation. Drive sober or get pulled over. The energy-saving conservation programs of Tico People's Gas. Coke Zero. You don't know zero till you've tried it. SunTrust, the official bank of Florida State Athletics. Nick's Toggery, provider of Coach Fisher's wardrobe.